Today, you'll see me create a drawing of an alien making first contact with a camel in Egypt. I've turned this little drawing in my sketchbook into a full-blown, proper drawing that a person could proudly hang on their wall. If this is your first time joining this channel, welcome. I do drawing, animating, and whatever else I feel like making. And if that sounds like your cup of tea, then please do subscribe and turn on your notifications. So, I basically want to blow my sketch drawing up to the size of A4 paper, and I want it to look a little bit better. To begin this process, I started off drawing outlines just to get the shapes and the sizes of my characters and objects and whatnot. The camel took forever to draw. I just couldn't get its position right on the page. This is why I sometimes spend a long time drawing in pencil first, even for a relatively simple drawing like this, especially if I'm creating a drawing from my A5 sketchbook and blowing it up onto A4, as I find it difficult to resize something that I've already drawn, if that makes sense. The rest of the sketching actually went fairly smoothly. I had to redraw the alien's head a few times, but I forgot to record that, so we'll just pretend I drew it in one go. And there we have it, our completed sketch. Due to the power of editing, it appears that I did this very quickly, but it actually took me forever. So please remember, when you're watching my videos, everything you see does take longer than I actually am showing. So don't worry when you're doing your art at home, it's fine that you're moving at a snail's pace, we all do. But you don't need me telling you that, you know that. Anyway, on to the exciting part now, the bit that everybody loves, the line drawing. Look at this camel's face come to life as I fill it with ink. Lovely stuff. Again, this took a little while, as I'm always deeply frightened at this point that I'll slip and ruin everything with a permanent pen stroke. But as Bob Ross said, there's no mistakes, just happy little accidents. I think that was the quote, so yeah, if you slipped up, just embrace it. I'm very happy with how this alien turned out. I wanted to draw a fairly stereotypical alien so that it's instantly recognisable, like an alien from Paul, or just those big-eyed aliens people think of when they think of aliens. But I also wanted it to be unique and sort of in my style, so I'm happy with this. Good alien, good job. The alien's got a little pot belly as well. I imagine he likes to have a few lagers whilst floating between stars. Just want to mention the pen I'm using here. It's a Sakura Pigma Micron pen. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've had a few people on Instagram ask me what pens I use. It's those Pigma Micron pens, Micron pens, Sakura, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's a good pen, I'd recommend it. Not sponsored by them, just thought I'd mention that. What kind of pens do you lot use? Let me know in the comments. Is there something better that I should be using? Is there a different type of Sakura pen I should be using? Let me know. I'm happy with how the pyramids have turned out in the background. In hindsight though, I think I'd do maybe a bit more with those sand dunes if I redrew this picture, but I guess I do like their simplicity. I don't know, they're fine. I'm thinking about it too much. That's the fine line drawings done. I'm about to colour this drawing in using Photoshop. This is where it goes from sort of drawing to digital art. But I would like to start colouring with pens, just doing the whole process just on paper. Does anybody have pens that they recommend? I'd like pens that create a solid colour, like block colour. Sort of how you'd imagine, I don't know, how like comic book style, where it's just a block colour with shadows. That's a poor description, but I'm an amateur that knows nothing, so please do help me out if you know. At this point, I got my laptop out, opened up Photoshop. To get my picture into Photoshop, I scanned it with a scanner, surprisingly, and then did a little Photoshop magic so that I was able to draw and colour as if I'd drawn the piece on Photoshop in the first place. If you're sitting there thinking, what is this witchcraft? Let me know, I'll do a video showing you how I did this. But just for now, that's how I did it basically, scanned it in and now I'm drawing on it. You don't actually need a scanner, I could just use my phone. I used to use my phone camera to take a picture of the picture and put it on Photoshop, but that's another story for another video. So, I'm in the colouring stage, and I just wanted simple block colouring with some simple shading. I'm still learning shading and colouring myself, so apologies if you're sitting there wondering what on earth I'm doing. That's most things coloured. As you can see, I trialled colouring the alien in a slightly different colour. I thought I'd go for red, maybe trying something other than the normal alien-y green, but the red looked terrible, so I made the alien green, as everyone else does. But I did make part of his eyes red, and I think that worked very nicely. Look at this, just like Microsoft Paint. Fill, fill, fill. There we go. I first started using Photoshop for drawing and colouring this year actually, wasn't very long ago. I always just drew on paper before, and a little bit before this actually, just on Adobe Animate, just sort of learning to draw using a tablet. Done that in the last couple of years. But Photoshop is new this year. And once you get your head around it, it's great. I'd recommend. Again, not a sponsor, just letting you know what I'm doing. Now for the shading, as I said, I'm an amateur at shading. I used the lasso, I don't know, tool to mark out the edge of the camel, so that when I coloured in the shaded parts, the colour didn't bleed over the edge of the camel's outline, if that makes sense. And then I just selected a darker tone, or darker version of whatever colour I was shading, and started colouring. For example, here on the camel, I just selected a slightly darker brown for my shaded areas, and cracked on. Simples. Shading is quite rough really. I imagine that the sun is coming from somewhere on the right hand side of the drawing, so just sort of added shadows on the left hand side of objects and creatures. This isn't a Rembrandt, so I think that'll work just fine. Almost done now. As you may have noticed, the outlines on the drawing have a sort of fuzzy stuff around them. It looks almost like charcoal or something. Almost looks intentional. I didn't add this. This is caused during the process of me scanning the picture and converting it into something that can be coloured in. I'm not sure exactly how that occurs, but sometimes it gives the picture a nice edge, a sort of rustic look, but in this case, I don't really want it, so I've decided to get rid of it. So, as I've done my colouring and my lines on different layers, I just locked off the colour layer, turned off the eye thing so I couldn't see it, and I just had my line layers, and then I just used the eraser to rub out those little bits that I didn't want. And that completes our drawing. Once that was tidied up, we are done. All that's left to do now is print it out and stick it in a frame. Doesn't it look lovely? I might be biased, but I like it. We've gone from this rough sketch that I made in my little sketchbook, wasn't really intending to do anything with it, to this piece of magnificent art that you could proudly hang on your wall. And that's not a lie, you really could, as this piece is available to buy on my Etsy store. The link is in the description. And that brings us to the end of this video. If you want to support me, then please do follow me on Instagram. I do post reels and pictures regularly on Instagram in an attempt to feed whatever stupid algorithm they've got going on over there. So if that's your cup of tea, head on over there, give me a follow, give me a like, give me a comment. The links are down below. Thank you very much for watching. Check out my other videos, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.